Good evening, everyone. I wanted to take a break from There's Something Wrong with My New Tiny House Part 4, as I am still finishing that up, and that hopefully will be released before the end of this week. I wanted to take some time out and narrate the first part of a novella that I'm working on. I never know what I'm going to do with these projects, these writing things that I do. If I'm going to put it on my website, should I put it on Amazon? Would it be something that I should narrate for all of you? So I'm just going to read a little excerpt from it and let you make the decision, or tell me if you want to hear more of this story. It's one that I've been currently working on between this and The Woman in the Tree. So there's two stories I've been working on besides the tiny house story, which all of you seem to be getting really into. So without further ado, here is We're All Home Now by KBHURST. Out of Our Heads, Chapter 1. Marcus stood watching the glow of the fire as it swished from side to side. Orange one moment, red, then blue the next. The flames danced, appearing like dancers in a ring, holding hands, conjuring God knows what. All the while, he was wishing it had all been a dream. His 25-year-old daughter, Astrid, had been missing for nearly a year. It was the thing of nightmares. They found her car a few miles away by a park with a beautiful running river. Her purse, coat, and tennis shoes were in the car, but her phone was not. The phone was turned off since that morning, and there had not been a ping when she had texted her boyfriend Martin. Of course, the police had questioned Martin, but he had an alibi and was just as distraught as the rest of her friends and family. Where was Astrid? It was a thought that plagued him for over 11 months now. Every last detail. The shirt she had on that day. A polo with blue and a white collar. Her long blonde hair was down. Jeans, tan sandals. If Marcus concentrated long enough, he could see his daughter's smile. Her large grin on freckled skin. Astrid had hazel eyes. Her lips covered in freckles, always covered in some sort of pink gloss that was trending at the time. All of her makeup scattered in the bathroom she had left in a mess the morning she was last seen. It was a dreary day. Thank God. Marcus was thinking, when the sun was shining, it was as if the world mocked him. Why should the sun dare to shine when his baby is missing? He picked his cuticles until they bled. He sucked on his thumb and grabbed a Kleenex to stop the blood, waking every hour to see if she had texted or called. Would today be the day? Marcus took a deep breath and saw his wife coming towards him, handing him a large manila envelope. Isabel was unimpressed with the fire. Just turn on the heater. It doesn't heat the whole house, just using the fireplace. Her bitterness enraged him. It wasn't like it was his fault. The fire relaxes me, Marcus drifted. The house phone ringing was an alarm, waking him from his thoughts. He ran to the kitchen, grabbing the phone from the wall. Hello? His voice begged. Marcus, Jason here. Sorry to call your house line. I'm sorry about calling this, but I know you use it for tips on Astrid's disappearance, but you weren't answering your cell. Adam's asking if you're able to finish the Baskins report. The finances are still not what they seem, and if it's all too much, we understand. We just need an answer by tomorrow. Oh, no, I'm almost finished with it. I just have to go over the spreadsheet one last time to ensure it's doable. He lied. He hadn't really looked at any of his work since Astrid had gone missing. 6 months and more. Still nothing. He tried going back to work. A deep dive into it would ground him, he thought. It should have helped take his mind off Astrid. It worked for a while, but thoughts of her crept in. I mean it, Marcus. He'll have all of our asses nailed to a wall if we don't get the numbers. It could be millions in profit. I'll take care of it, I promise. Marcus hung up the phone and stood watching the fire. His inability to move only caused his wife to be even more furious. Are you going to stare at that fire all day? Some things need to be done. I need you to take these flyers to the deli and give them to the owner. He said he would distribute them to the customers when they came in and out. Marcus nodded, taking the large envelope. And he went out to his car. He thought of his daughter, the last time he had seen her. He must have played it repeatedly in his head so many times. Astrid had left work and was headed to a friend's house so that they could attend a Florence and the Machine concert. Astrid, don't forget church with your mother and Mr. Fleming tomorrow, Marcus had said to his daughter. I know, Dad. I won't be later than midnight. I am 23 now, and I'm pretty capable of knowing how to be a responsible adult, even if she lives with her parents. Astrid kissed her father as they both left for work. Marcus had waved her as she drove down the long rural driveway of their small cottage. It was 20 minutes into town. By the time midnight had rolled around, Isabel had assured Marcus that everything was fine. Everything was fine. Until it wasn't. The dog was barking. Unusual for their 12-year-old wolfhound Duke. He never barked at anything, even if someone was breaking in. That night, Isabel woke and shook Marcus. Duke probably has to go out. Will you take him? It's such an early morning. Isabel drifted off. Marcus had gotten up and rubbed his eyes, took a deep breath, and stood to take Duke out. Marcus stood at the top of the stairs. Something was wrong. Duke! Duke kept barking relentlessly. Finally, Marcus walked down the stairs, nearly falling down when he got to the last step. He was exhausted. He grabbed Duke's leash and hooked him, and tried to lead him out the back door to let him do his business. Instead, Duke stood barking at the wall at the end of the long hall towards the kitchen. Duke, come on! Marcus was getting angry now. Duke growled. That wasn't like his dog at all. Duke had never growled at anyone in his 12 years with Marcus, Isabel, and Astrid. He was goofy, playful, dumb at times. Vicious, cautious, or protective, he wasn't. A burglar could come in the house and Duke would have laid on his bed completely uninterested. He'd been laid back most of his life, but he had an earnest about the hallway that night. Marcus led Duke towards what he was looking at. Duke resisted at first, but then followed Marcus. Marcus reached the kitchen and could have sworn he saw a woman looking in the window. Marcus walked towards the door, thinking it may be Astrid. Marcus could see nothing by opening the back door to the deck they had taken such pride in. There was no one there. See? Okay, boy. Go do your business. Duke hesitated, and then returned to his usual self. He peed on the neighbor's fence and then ran towards Marcus, expecting a beefy treat. Marcus complied with the treat and walked Duke back inside. That night, Marcus couldn't shake that feeling that something was wrong. By 5 a.m, Isabel was awake, getting ready for work. Marcus was dead tired, but managed to get up, shower, and change for work. He had a nagging feeling that something was off. He walked down the hall to Astrid's room and knocked on the door. No sound. He opened the door just an inch and looked inside. He felt weird invading her space, but he had to check. There was no one in Astrid's bed. He went to check his phone. There was no missed calls or texts from Astrid. Had she gone to her boyfriend's and forgotten to mention it? That wasn't like her. Astrid always sent a quick text if she wasn't coming home. She knew her parents would worry. She was 23, but always tried to be respectful. That is one of the things Isabel and Marcus were proud of. Their daughter cared about everyone and their feelings, and never wanted her parents to worry over her. "Isabel, have you spoken to Astrid?" "No," she called from the shower. "She never came home last night," Marcus said, wondering frantically if he should call her boyfriend Martin. I'm sure she's fine. You know how young people are." Isabel was unworried. "Yeah, you're always right." Marcus smiled at his wife's assurance. The shower turned off, and Isabel grabbed the towel, stepping out of the shower. She was a fine-looking woman still, even at 52. "Don't look like that." Isabel kissed his cheek and went over to her vanity room to get herself ready for work. Marcus readied himself for a busy day at the firm and went in to work. When it became dark, as if he had lost track of time, he found himself on the road driving home. When Marcus had arrived at his house, he saw Isabel at the door. "She isn't answering her phone, and her work called because they couldn't reach her all damn day." Marcus had held his breath. "Do something, I'm worried." Isabel wrinkled a brow as if she was using it to force him into submission. "Have you called Martin?" "Yes, but he's working, or he just won't answer his phone." Marcus had braced himself for what he felt in his gut. Something was wrong, and had been since the night before. He tried to maintain that he wasn't worried for Isabel's sake. He was extremely on edge. The night fell, and soon they both found themselves sitting in front of the front door, waiting until enough time had passed so they could legally call the cops. It was advised 24 to 48 hours had to go before they contacted law enforcement. They called everyone they knew that Astrid was friends with. A knock at the door pulled them out of their worry and dismay. Marcus went to the door and opened it with a force that he nearly fell over. Exhausted and half asleep, he felt his heart skip. Only his gut felt the hurt first, when it was only Martin. "I'm so sorry I missed your calls. I've been trying to reach Astrid all evening since you called me. Please tell me she's here." Marcus looked at Martin, Astrid's boyfriend of little over a year, and took a deep breath. "No, she's not here." "Have you tried Beth?" "I've tried all of her friends, and your work is very concerned with her whereabouts. We're planning on going to the police this morning." Isabel said as a worried tear fell from her eyes. "If you need me to go with you, I'll go. I'm so worried, it doesn't feel right." Marcus felt the same as he looked at his daughter's distraught boyfriend. He didn't suspect Martin. They all went to the police station, and once reported, the police looked into Astrid's whereabouts. They found her vehicle sitting off a side road with her purse, a work badge, and a few items from the concert that she had bought. There were witnesses that claimed to have seen her that morning by the river, standing next to her parked car, admiring the influx of blue heron that nested there each spring into summer before continuing their migration south. It was a popular attraction amongst the locals in their small Ohio town. That day remains haunting, as Marcus had never felt so close to answers and yet so far away. He recalled it all as he readied himself for the road trip into town. Marcus took the flyers showing his missing daughter, putting them in the passenger seat. His hand shook as he started his Volkswagen, and he sat for a moment thinking. The snow had fallen last night, which marked the beginning of winter, and the day was so dark. His entire life seemed dark now, with no Astrid in it. Marcus drove to the deli, and when he entered the butcher's door, Brian made a nod to him. Smiling, Marcus went to the counter. "Oh, Marcus, your wife said you'd be dropping these off." Brian smiled empathetically. "Yeah, while I'm here, I need a pound of chicken and some walleye." "Coming up," Brian said as he quickly packaged the meat and handed it to Marcus. Marcus reached into his pocket and pulled out his wallet. He opened it to a photo of his daughter, Astrid, when she was about 5. On the other side of his wallet were many credit cards and a $20 bill. Pulling out the 20, he handed it to Brian. No, this one's on the house today. Oh, Marcus smiled. Thank you. Marcus took his package and left. When he got home, he produced the chicken for Isabel, who was reading in the kitchen. I bought a couple of pounds of chicken for dinner. I don't want chicken, she said, never looking from her paperwork. I got some walleye, too. I don't want fish, and I don't want chicken. Marcus was growing frustrated. Well, what do you want for dinner? Pasta's fine. I have a can of sauce in the fridge. She was still reading. We had pasta last night. So? I like pasta. Okay, pasta again it is. Marcus stomped away from her and went into his office, slamming the door. He put his hands in his head and then opened up his laptop and began working on the project his boss needed him to complete. 2 hours later, he had finished it and emailed it to him. Within 20 minutes or so, he received an email from his boss. I need to know how you achieved these numbers. Justine and marketing had different numbers. Get the new results to me by Friday. I'll give you more time. Marcus slammed the lid to his laptop down and got up. Putting his jacket on, he left his office, headed towards the back door to the kitchen. Where are you going? Isabel asked him accusingly. What the hell does it matter? What? Marcus ignored her and went to his car. Once inside, he drove to the police station. When he got there, he was met by a woman at the reception. Can I ask who you are here to see? Detective Simmons. May I ask your name, sir? Marcus Montgomery. He's working on my daughter's case. One moment. The receptionist made a call, and then Marcus took a seat. About 15 minutes passed, and the Detective Simmons came out of a small door. The door seemed so much smaller when he was standing there. He towered nearly 6'5". He was a burly man with a shaved head, and his brown suit looked uncomfortable, as if he had never had it properly sized. Marcus? He waved him into his office, and Marcus nearly ran. How are you today, Mr. Montgomery? I've had better days. Today isn't one of them. I can only imagine what you and your family must be going through. Look, are there any developments in Astrid's disappearance? Detective Simmons sighed. I'm going to be as bluntly honest as I can be. We're at a dead end. There are no signs of a struggle, no evidence indicating that she was taken against her will. When we found her belongings, purse, work badge, there was no evidence of anyone else having been with her. But she took her keys. You said that could be like a sign of something bad. Mr. Montgomery, we really don't know why. Maybe she forgot she had them on her. But it looks like she ran away. Maybe she just doesn't want to be found. If something changes, we'll reach out to you, I swear. But it's a dead end. Thank you for your time. He got up, leaving Detective Simmons' office. He drove home and found his wife taking the chicken he had bought off the stove and placing it on a plate. I'm sorry, Isabel said as she put it on the dining room table for him. Marcus grabbed her hand and began to sob. Isabel held him for a long while until his sobs were finished. Marcus wiped his eyes and nose on a napkin, now embarrassed for his outburst of emotion. The chicken looks divine, my dear, he said, smiling at her. Isabel smiled and cut into her chicken. I tried my best Southern fried chicken. I had a recipe from my grandmother. I thought you may like it. Marcus bit into it. It's tasty. Marcus woke the following day, hoping he could get some work done. He had been slacking, and he knew Mr. Adams would not be happy with him. Marcus reviewed some of the paperwork he was asked to revise and found that he was more productive than he had been in a long while. Isabel was out with her friends on her usual morning walk. He sat at his desk in the quiet of the morning and found himself finishing his work as he once did before Astrid had gone missing. It felt normal for a moment, and he lavished in it for the time being. A slam of the kitchen door stirred him from his think tank. "Hello, dearest?" he called out, thinking Isabel had come home from her morning walk earlier than expected. No one answered. Marcus felt a slight breeze coming from the kitchen into his downstairs office. He felt a slight unease as he stood and peeked into the adjoining kitchen. He didn't see anything, so he walked into the kitchen. He saw a plastic glass on the kitchen floor, and the kitchen door had been flung open. He smiled, thinking it was just a breeze that had done it. He bent over to pick up the plastic cup, and when he looked up, he saw Astrid's reflection in the glass of the kitchen door. He turned quickly, but no one was there. He felt a chill, but it wasn't from the wind blowing this time. He got up and stepped outside and took a look around. He knew he had seen Astrid. "Astrid, are you out there?" He walked all around the entire outside of the house, but she wasn't there, to his disappointment. Instead, Isabel was walking up the driveway with Duke. Isabel smiled as she waved goodbye to her friends. She noticed that Marcus was standing at the end of the driveway with a perplexing look. "What's the matter, dear? You look like you saw a ghost." "I did. I saw Astrid." Well, that is where I'm going to leave this first part. So feel free to leave your feedback in the comment section below. And you all have a wonderful evening. And I do promise part 4 of There's Something Wrong with My New Tiny House will be up later in the week. Take care.